Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel for yet again another movie review, and today I will be talking about the solo directorial effort from Ethan Coen, being Drive Away Dolls, starring Margaret Qualley, Geraldine Viswanathan, Beanie Feldstein, Coleman Domingo, Pedro Pascal, Bill Camp, and Matt Damon. And this follows a couple of lesbian friends who decide to take a road trip to Tallahassee, and along the way in the rent-a-car that they have, they find something that doesn't belong to them, and it sparks a whole bunch of ensuing hijinks, and you probably know the rest from there. And I was very intrigued by this movie when I saw the trailer. Of course, if you remember, it was one of my top 10 most anticipated films of this year, in fact, because, you know, I thought it was interesting to see Ethan Coen finally go solo as a director his first time out. Of course, you've seen Joel branch out and do The Tragedy of Macbeth from 2021, which was very, very different from the rest of the Coen's output, obviously. And I think that does lie in stark contrast with what we have here with Drive Away Dolls, which is a very kooky comedy that's a bit of a throwback to the 90s and a bunch of road trip movies from that time. And I think after seeing this, it's clear to see which Coen brother has what sensibilities. Obviously, Joel is the one who keeps things grounded and really reels in a lot of the wackiness that Ethan probably puts into these scripts, because this was written by him and his wife Trisha Cook, I believe. And yeah, it definitely feels like this is something that would certainly be in his wheelhouse, even though in a lot of ways it almost feels a bit caricaturish of movies that he's already done previously with his brother. And it's derivative in a lot of ways, but I'll get into that. First, I want to, you know, give props to the performers here, especially Margaret Qualley, who is amazing in literally everything she's in, and she quite frankly steals the show here as a really, really horny woman who's really driven a lot by sex and is a very free, spirited person, free thinking, isn't really inhibited by much. And then, of course, you have Geraldine Viswanathan, who's also great in this, playing sort of like the straight man, you could say. Of course, they're not straight. But let's say in regards for the character types, that is what she is in here, you know, very uptight, and the whole movie, you know, is trying to get her to loosen up. It's a really great dynamic between the two of them. I think their chemistry is awesome, and I think that this movie really works because of them. And I think some other real scene stealers are Joey Slotnick, who is amazing in this and almost looks like Paul Giamatti, which is kind of weird. But the dynamic that him and C.J. Wilson have in this is quite funny. It's very reminiscent of Fargo, though, yet again coming into some of the comparisons here, but I think they sell that completely, and I think it's one of the most entertaining parts of the movie. Beanie Feldstein, once again, proving how great of a talent she is, especially on the comedic side of things. I think she absolutely steals a few scenes in this movie. And I think this movie works when it's focused on the two leads more than anything, because it's really their story and their characters that I really latched onto the most. But other than that, there isn't a whole lot to this movie. It's pretty derivative from other movies, you know, road trip movies from the 90s. It's, yet again, it feels like a film that someone would make who's inspired by the Coen brothers, but not necessarily one of the Coen brothers themselves. And I think that's a bit unfortunate, because this really had the potential to be something really great, you know, harkening back to those roots, like something with Raising Arizona, and obviously you get a bit of Fargo in here as well. And yet again, it doesn't really pan out in a way that you wouldn't expect, in a way that's really that meaningful at all. It's just a fun movie. I think that there's a lot of bumps in the script, though, along the way, and a lot of actors are underutilized, which is fine. I mean, especially with Pedro Pascal and his role in the movie, which is pretty funny. But like Coleman Domingo, such a great actor, hardly gets any screen time to really show us how amazing he is. Not that he needs to. He's really proven himself last year more than anything. But even so, it would have been nice to see more from him. Yet again, there's some things that pop up in the movie, some very psychedelic montages, which are kind of cool to watch, But then you think about it, you're like, what does this really add to the movie? You know, this isn't Easy Rider or something, right? So I'm not really sure if a lot of the choices really panned out. And I think there's also some scenes that kind of tie into the characters' backstories that were completely unnecessary. I think you did not need them in the movie. And it kind of made them maybe look like a bit of a creep. You know what I'm referring to if you've seen the film. And there are also these very weird transitions that are like out of like a Saturday morning cartoon or something. Or like even a 70s sitcom. And I think it was a bit too much. Yet again, executing a bit of style over substance. I appreciate what they were doing, but yet again, it didn't really add anything to the film overall. And yet again, it just doesn't really add up to be anything more significant than the sum of its parts. It's got a lot of great moments, a lot of fun humor, what have you, but for this being Ethan Coen's solo directorial debut, I don't know, like, I don't think it's anything tremendous, and I certainly don't think it holds a candle to anything in the Coen brothers' filmography at all. Even though it is a fun ride, you'll get an enjoyment out of it, but yet again, I'm reviewing this because I said it was one of my most anticipated years, so just on principle I have to, but you really don't have to rush out and see this. I would recommend maybe checking it out when it comes on streaming platforms later this year. I mean, you're going to have a lot of time to get to it before the end of the year. It's an hour 24, so you get in the theater, you get out in a pretty reasonable time frame, and you're going to have a lot of fun along the way. There's some good laughs, maybe not as many gut-busting ones as you would expect from Coen Brothers' adjacent project, but certainly a film that I'm glad I saw and I had a fun time with. So I'm going to give Drive Away a Dolls 6.5 out of 10. Yet again, definitely a fun movie to watch and sit down, but I don't think it's really going to add up to be anything that will truly stick out in your mind. But hey, you know, all power to you if it does. I'd love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below about this film. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. I'm going to be talking about a lot more movies coming up, especially Dune Part 2, which is by far my most anticipated movie of the year, and I'm so glad they were getting it so much sooner than later. Of course, I mean, what am I saying? It's been delayed like twice already, but I'm so excited to see that film. And of course, be on the lookout for so much more coming down the pipeline this week. And of course, stay tuned for when the top 10 movies of 2023, my personal list and video, drops the night of the Oscars. You can almost bet on that. And yeah, with that, I will leave you guys to do whatever you have to do for the rest of the day. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.